Hi everyone, this is going to be the last Drive Like a Driving Instructor video in Ford Focus ST. My Volvo is due in a couple of weeks, and I thought today I'm going to cover a little subject that's quite important. It's quite relevant to what we've been talking about on the channel over the last maybe couple of months as well. We've been focusing on lorries and how to drive around lorries. I've got a little bit of a drive that I would like to just experiment with out on the motorways. I'm going to limit my car to the same speed as the lorries, and then we're going to see how problematic it can be to overtake and where to position if you've not got the luxury of doing another 14 miles an hour. We're going to have a look at that, but we're just going to have a little think about, well, I'm going to have a little think and verbalise about what my thoughts have been with this Focus. It's done, just as we are exactly here, it's done 21,001 mile, 0.8 as well, if you would like the parts and like the bits. And that's since, what date did I get it? Was it September 23? I think so. So I've had it getting on for 2.5 years. As you can see, I don't do loads of miles. It's been a cracking piece of kit. There wasn't much on the market that was sporty and maybe a little engaging in a manual box. And that's still the same, if not a little bit worse now, to be honest. I have gone for a Volvo V50, V60. We had the V50 in there and raffled it. But it was really the V50 that started me on the estate car for the dogs. I'm not going to go into the reasons why. I've already done a video on why I chose the Volvo, but I have gone for an automatic. I don't honestly think I'll miss the manual now. I think with the instructor training that I do, if people are learning in a manual, I have still got the options of doing the training in their car. The majority of my training instructors do their Part 2 tests in their own car. But even with that, the instructor training side of things, it's getting more and more automatic. We've definitely reached that tipping point when it comes to automatics. Are probably going to be now a little bit more popular. I'm not sure the amount of tests conducted. That'll be an interesting stat if someone knows it. Can't be bothered looking, if I was honest. But yeah, the Focus, it's been a cracking motor. Any bits that I'm not too, or I wasn't too happy with, build quality is just okay for a, I don't remember what I paid for it, 37,000 pound vehicle. I honestly would expect a fair bit more. It's not been unreliable though, it's been really reliable. I've only had a battery replaced in it. It's had 2 services. With the work that I do, the slower stuff, it did chew through the 10,000 mile service schedule, or is it 12.5? Don't know. In any case, it chewed through the service schedules in about 8,000 miles, which is a fair bit quicker. It's understandable though, with it just being tootled. I do think the Volvo will be a little better. Because of its mild hybrid system. I think it will be a fair bit more efficient. But I don't really drive to suit a car like this. And it's just situational. It's what I do for a living. Even when I'm not working, do a drive like I own an Asbo bright green Focus. No. I think over the years, with my plate being recognisable, and it is all around the country, I've put myself on this parapet that people are always too eager to knock me off. But that's good in a way, because it's ensured that my habits are absolutely top drawer all the time. Anything else about the Focus? Fuel economy, it's not been brilliant. The tech in it, perfectly fine. You can use voice commands for a majority of the things to change the temperature. It's got a big screen in it, but most cars have nowadays, and that's always going to be a little bit faffy. Heater controls, I would have liked to have had separate buttons, and it's nice to see a lot of manufacturers going back to that. What else? Seats, comfortable for shorter times, but if you're spending all day in them, they're not as forgiving as, I think I've just been spoilt by Volvo seats, to be honest. The seats in this aren't too bad at all, but the Volvos are just more comfortable. Can't fit Callie in this car, and Coco, we've got Coco as well now. If you didn't see, we've rescued another Cane Corso, and she's going to be growing. I'll probably struggle to get them in the back of a Volvo. I'll end up getting another minibus or something soon, but anyway, that was a big part to it. But overall, Focus has been really good. It's always a little bit of a ball ache swapping cars for me, because there's loads to do. I've got to get the dual controls out of this car. I've promised them to one of my training instructors who has also just purchased the Focus, and I'm just hoping that the insurance company are still okay with it, with being insured with them without dual controls in. I've got to check that. It's something I've got to do this afternoon. I haven't got any learners in this car any longer. It's just myself, but I'm just going to put it to them and see what they say. I've got to get all the dash cam out. It is hardwired. I probably could do it myself, but I'll probably just take it down to Lewis at Liverpool Auto Care, because I've also got to have the car in. It's got a ghost on it, this car, and I'm going to have that taken out, and I'm going to get it fitted to the Volvo as well. I know it's a less stealable car. I think that's probably the best way to describe it, but it's there, it's mine, it offers a little bit of an extra protection, so why not? And then we've got the swap over for the new car. The car is, at this point in time, in the UK. I don't know which port it's come into. Some people may know where the V60s are produced and what port they come into. I don't. It's been at the port for about 6 weeks. Occasionally, apparently, you can have certain containers or batches of vehicles that are held up. They must just pick randomly a batch of vehicles and then check absolutely everything with them. Don't know, could have happened, but it's still at the port. It's not at the dealership yet. I've got in touch with Volvo, and they have already said it's been assigned a 26 plate, so it's not going to be before the 1st of March. We are today the 19th of February, and just going to say a quick happy home day to Callie. It's been a year today since we got Callie. She hasn't half grown. She's changed our lives as well, for the good. But swap over, I don't know exactly when it's going to be. I am just going to trade this car in. I've also been in touch with the guys at Warford Cars. I might do a little bit before this goes back, if I get time, to just go and see the different options you've got when you are getting rid of a car. Whether you sell it to a dealer, whether you part X it to the Volvo dealer that I'm getting my car from, or whether you can maybe even get some dealers that'll give you a sale or return option. So I'm going to try and fit that in. If I'm not able to, I might try and do a little video on that anyway sometime in the future, because I think that's important information. But if I end up trading my car in, it's quite an easy job. I'll probably just get a price for it the week before, and then on collection day just literally just hand the car over. It's in really good nick. A couple of the wheels do need a little refurb. There's a couple of little nicks that happened, not by me, by other people driving it. So a couple of them need doing, and that's about it. Then we've got to go through the process of getting a dual control in the Volvo. We've got to get the dash cameras fitted in. I've got a little bit of a plan for the Volvo to have more than just a 3-channel system from VFO. I am going to keep this VFO A139 Pro because it's the only model that VFO do, and I don't think there's many other manufacturers as well that's got an external microphone port. So the microphone that goes into this dash cam, it produces pretty good audio. The unit itself has been really reliable. It can produce 4K footage. I don't actually record it at 4K. I record 2K on this A139 Pro. But I'm going to have possibly a couple of systems in the Volvo. It's got a pan roof, so we may be able to attach something on the roof that's recording all the time. I've got plenty to work out and combine that with the running that we're doing at the moment. This week me and Liz did 14 miles, so we're running half marathons in training. Everything's okay. Liz went over on a foot and we think she broke a toe about a month or so ago. She's been running through the pain. Her toe was black and blue, and you'll probably know when you break something, she had that burning sensation. So she's done amazing to keep the running going, and touch wood, that's the only thing that we've had. So we've got a ton of stuff going on at the minute, and everything just seems a little bit hectic, but that's where we're at with the cars. Now, what I want to do with this today is have a little look at the difficulties, like I said, lorry drivers have of not having the flexibility in the speed limit to get past, and we're mainly going to do it on the motorways. But I've got a little route that I'm going to take. I'm going to go up onto the M57. I'm going to go up onto the M62. I'm going to go northbound on the M6 until I reach the M58. Then I'm going to come back down. So we're going to stay motorways, motorways, motorways. If I'm not with any lorries, I'm going to stay at 70 until I'm next to the lorry or near lorries, and then I'm going to set my cruise control. We're not going to be, wherever possible, next to someone. This bus driver gave me not much cause for concern, because I know they're stopping at the bus stops. For me though, don't forget, I wouldn't ever purposefully go and sit next to someone. If I was driving a lorry, I would just sit on the back shoulder of people. But lorry drivers do, well, some of them do seem to think that extra car length or so further forward is going to get them to their destination a little bit quicker. It's absolutely not. We've got a little bit of roadworks a bit further up here. I'm just going to address a couple of little issues about points where you can be seen. where possible, where we've got these lorries here, and I'll obviously be adjusting my speed. There could be a car coming out from this road on the left, it's okay, or the entrance on the left. So yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of work with these lorries even up here, but here I can see the lorry driver, no issues. Here, still see the lorry driver, still see, and even in the top mirror I could still see even when I was coming up towards the cab. But there are blind spot areas. To this right hand side there shouldn't be any. What I found when I did get my lorry license is that I'm just going to go and do this here, a little bit cheeky, pushing through that junction at that point. No one's turning right, I'm not going to block anyone. But yeah, what I found with this lorry driver as an example to our left, that the mirrors often block a fair bit more than you realise. But view to this right hand side is fine, no issues. You shouldn't have an issue with a lorry driver not seeing you on this side, unless they're a foreign lorry driver sat on the other side. But still the same things apply. Don't sit next to not only just lorries, but any vehicle for any longer than necessary. It's one of my basic driving mantras. Pocket of space, you all know it. Many of you have commented many times that it's transformed your driving anxiety and your incidents have reduced. It's exactly why I go on about it. But we're going to have a little look about how and whether we overtake lorries up on the motorway. So I'm going to try and keep near them today. This is Dunningsbridge Road, major road that leads from the docks in Liverpool all the way out to the M58 and M57 motorways. They've just got a fair bit of roadworks up here at the minute, so I apologise for us sitting in the queue. But I wanted to get onto this because it's going to produce plenty of wagons and truckers. As you can see, it has. I'd just like to ask, has pocket of space been one of the most important things that you've learned from watching the channel? Non-event is another importance, a mindset really, rather than action with the car. But I personally think pocket of space is one of the big risk reducers that I've pushed over the years. And it's, like I said, it's not just lorries that we're doing, it's any situation. Even cyclists can have that mindset of doing whatever they can to be next to space. Is what it is. Sorry that we're stuck in a queue. This stuff about lorries has all started really from the other driving instructor online who had the crash with the lorry. It started about that sort of time, but it sort of wasn't that kicked off my being my bonnet about where to be with lorries. National highways have put out about the same sort of time some public information about lorries blind spots, and people are true that lorries, with the mirrors and the cameras that they've got nowadays, there's less chance of you being in a blind spot, but mirrors could be incorrectly adjusted. The driver still may not see, and if you're less obvious because you're in that awkward place to be seen, you are increased in risk. But it was that sort of time. I know we got a big backlash from the other driving instructors, followers. I give two shits. I will always do, just as I've done there, my utmost to not be next to a lorry, and there is bits and bobs that you can do to stop yourself being caught in that situation, without question. Same thing here. I'm really aware as well of where these lorries are going. Now there's two choices. This lorry's speeding up towards the other one, so I'm suspecting maybe they're looking to come out. It's a foreign lorry driver. So what am I doing? Staying here. How can I be sideswiped if I'm here? Now if they're going to slow down and join the queue, I'm going to make sure they are staying in there before I go past. Done. Still could just dive out at the last moment. They look as though they're in a little bit of a convoy. Netherlands, those lorries. So I don't know where they're going to be heading. Probably across the other side of the country. Jumping on the ferry to go back, possibly. But yes, there's generally things that you can do to stop yourself being in people's areas that you might be missed. And that was it. I'm still standing by what I said as well. I know I'm a stubborn cat, I don't care. I cannot see myself being sideswiped by a lorry with my driving. Can't. Maybe I just expect too much from every other driving instructor. Perhaps. But I just think the standards should be better. And the other scenario, more recently, with the lorry driver saying about my position, or positions in different scenarios, it's quite embarrassing that lorry drivers actually think in that way. And it was all because in the first video I pointed out a triggered lorry driver. Is this one going to come back in? Again, make sure that they're staying in there before you then go past, and then what does that do to risk? It's gone, it's finished. So yeah, it was all because the original video on emerging turn, I positioned myself here with a lorry, easily visible down out of that side. For some reason, the guy didn't think I was going to be visible from there and I'd put myself in a dangerous spot. No, it wasn't. It's just because I triggered another lorry driver in him. Is what it is. Said these people who have just got a license and think they've got every qualification is unbelievable. But it's not a battle against that. I don't care what he does. I know exactly what I'm doing is the correct thing for the correct reason. I'm not having a selfish mindset to say, well, you're interrupting my flow and didn't let me overtake. Grow up. In any case, let's put that to bed. There's stuff that we can probably learn with what I'm doing. So I am going to go to 56 miles an hour. And I'm going to set my limiter. This one's a little slower for the time being. 56, there we go. So I'm limited to 56. You've got to be really good at judging whether you're catching people or not. And luckily enough, I've found two lorries straight from the off. So I am stuck exactly at 56. I should put Waze on to see what exactly I'm doing. I'm going to do that. I'm going to pick my safe time to do it with what's going on. So Waze says I'm doing 55, so I'm just going to go up 1 mile an hour to 57 on my speedo, and it's put me up to 56 here. Perfect. So I know there's discrepancies, but I am absolutely at 56. So if I'm absolutely at 56 and the lorry in front is at 56, we shouldn't be catching, but I'm slightly catching. Do I move out and overtake? How long would it take me? Do I want to interrupt the flow? or should I just slightly reduce? Well, I am going to get out because I'm going to continue on the motorway. I don't think it should do yet. I'm just looking for the best opportunity to do it. That lorry went downhill. It was probably on the uphill section. Maybe I'm catching again now. So I'm just going to take it back a little. And now I'm going to head my way out. But this is the problem that lorry drivers have got. They're so used to putting themselves next to other lorries and other vehicles for such long periods because they're overtaking at this rate that they then think this is the norm. So what would I do here? I'd plan for this lorry driver. I'm just going to knock it back a miles an hour. And for that reason, there you go. And look, I've clearly showed them by the back off, he could go. And people say, driving a lorry is, oh, it's difficult time-wise. If I'd have been ahead of this lorry, I literally would be how many seconds ahead? 1 or 2. Now, find them a time to overtake. Should I overtake? No. The other issue that I've got now is the other lorry behind. So I am going to head us out. Back up to 57 on my speedo because that one's dropped down. I'm just going to cancel it a second and get clear because I don't want to hold people up, because again I would have been sat in there for ages. 63 I got up to. Now I'm going to press resume. So does that give you an idea of how beneficial the overtakes actually are? Well, people say, well, yeah, how long is that going to add up to in the course of your day? Well, honestly, nothing. Because it's all down to the look of what happens when you come off the motorway and what kind of cues you've got. Just aware of this one now. Sorry, could not sit in his blind spot. Couldn't. So hopefully already, I think we've already found out that being limited at a set limit without that ability to overtake makes overtaking situations really problematic for everyone. It interrupts the flow. So I'm just going to cancel my limiter and get on with it, and I'm going to go up and have a little look at the next. It looks as though it's a Guinness lorry. Might redirect them to my house after I've finished the marathon, because I'll have a couple of pints after the marathon. I've been off the pints of Guinness as well. Never drank loads, but used to go to maybe the pub and go and take Cali at the weekend, watch a game of footy, couple of pints, but no, I've been a good boy with the training. So to have it from, to have it from that perspective of the lorry driver, I think is really important. Look how much time that one saved by doing that. Now I'm going to drop it back down. Looks as though we've got maybe an escort vehicle, or it's a flashing light vehicle a bit further up. It is an escort vehicle. So I'm going to go back down to 57, resume. We're good. And then see what's what. We'll see how I can deal with the escort vehicle a little bit further up and actually whether it's worth an overtake. So I'm going to do a few sums per hour. And I was probably overtaking, when I was going to be alongside that other lorry, I was probably overtaking 1 mile an hour. So you can pretty much work out for yourself how much time it's going to take you. If you're traveling at 56 over an hour, it's going to save you a minute. I think that's quite embarrassing, and there's plenty of comments that I always see and hear about, oh, it might mean that you're going to miss your next whatever ferry. Leave earlier? Do you really have your schedules that tight? I know some companies can put massive pressure on the lorry drivers, and if that's the case, and if that's causing this mindset, that's the bit that needs changing. Oh my God, that Nissan in front pulled in front of me with my braking distances as a lorry. There's nothing going on around. It was irrelevant. Not everyone's going to be like that, however. So, 57. So what I would do, if I was driving a lorry, I'd stay here until I realised I had plenty of time to get round. If you came up to, and I'm a little bit close here as well, I don't know what that lorry driver's doing. When should he get out, by the way? Did a video on this recently. I had one follow me that got out a little bit early. Maybe they've been told, because he came out and started overtaking. No, he must be heading same route as me. All right, fair play. But yeah, if I was driving a lorry, or if I was driving a vehicle limited to the speed, just like I've done now, I've backed off a tiny little bit just to maintain the gap. I'd wait until I was fast enough to be able to get past comfortably. This lorry driver's distracted. What if there was something on the hard shoulder on how they've been driving? I know there's not, but how can you be driving on that line? That's a solid line. You shouldn't go over that unless it's an emergency, or in this situation, you've broken down. Poor. Basic stuff. Another thing that has been discussed over the past couple of months as well is the standard of lorry drivers. Has it got lower? Wow. 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 It's as if I pay these people. So you think of how much notice that awful road user gave those other people. They had no choice but to get out of the way because of absolute piss poor planning. Mobile phone use? Probably. Frightening. Absolutely frightening. Blown my mind. Okay, so we are catching this. I'm going to stay here. So again, rather than pushing out and then being next to these at the point where they wish to move, a safer option is just to go here. How long is it going to, or how much time is it going to cost me? 1 minute per hour. That's it. But yeah, back to what I was saying about lorry drivers and have standards got worse. Just being aware of my distances here. It looks as though it's a private hire taxi behind the Hyundai. It may not be. What I'm doing with this bus now, drop back slightly, let it get in front. Again, I'm not going to overtake. There's too much traffic up ahead. Saying that though, I've got 7 miles an hour left. No, I'm just going to stay here for a little second. This is what I would do. It's a little bit busy. I'll look for a quieter time that I can get past in a safe manner. So have driving standards of lorries, or driving of the lorry drivers, I'm going to go. Has the standard of lorry drivers, got it right in the end, decreased since, and it was approximately the time that I got my class 2, where the powers that be decided to give people direct access to Arctics? Has that decreased the standards? The stats are going against the lorry drivers. Things are getting worse. The likelihood of collisions and accidents is increasing. The numbers of deaths when a lorry driver has been involved in an accident are increasing. And the stats year on year over the past 10 are on the up. Something needs to be done about it. The education of how to drive around lorry drivers, that's important. I'm just going to cancel my limiter and get on with it up to the next one. Now we've dealt with that. Unless I see any lorries coming out of this slip road. In fact, I am going to. I'm going to pretend I'm a lorry for a little longer. Okay. So yeah, the stats are all going against the lorry drivers. But unless you accept that this is a real case scenario and a real road safety issue, and stop defending your cohort, it was a taxi driver, or was it? No, it might have been a different one. I think it was a different one. Apologies. Yeah, if you just keep defending your own cohort and don't accept that there's a problem, this problem will stay. It's exactly the same as I've said for years and years and years about cyclists. Cyclists need to call out cyclists who are doing wrong things. Driving instructors need to call out driving instructors who are doing the wrong things, rather than just blindly defending their own cohort. You cannot truly be just backing off a touch, back on again, because this one's unusually travelling too slowly. Middle lane as well, maybe he should be coming back in. In any case, yeah, don't defend your own cohort just because you're a part of that group. Call out poor road use. Okay, now there's nothing going on. I am going to get on with it and go and find myself a lorry or 5. But we're not going to push ourselves forward and get the roads a safer place unless we identify certain traits and certain problems that we do have. Now I'm going to get on 70. Got a couple left. There's a couple of lorries up ahead that I'm going to go and have a sit with. Okay. Do you think the standard of lorry driving has decreased over the last little bit? Maybe 5 or 6 years, perhaps. I think the general standards of driving has decreased over the last 5 or 6, maybe 10 years as well. So I think this is what I will do again. I'm going to pop it back in here. I'm going to then slowly wind my speed down and then have a little look to see what we're going to be doing with this lorry. Resume. Okay, so here we go again. Quick assessment, are we catching? Don't think so. Maybe slightly, tiny little bit. Again, 57 on my speedo, exactly 56 on Waze. GPS is always going to be the most accurate way of doing it, but there is a little delay with it. But if you've got your limiter on, it's okay. I wonder whether lorries could be fitted with a boost button that just gives them an extra 2 miles an hour, and it's only allowed to be used if they're overtaken. Well, it shouldn't really be needed, because the vehicle that's being overtaken, if goes back to my clip, if they've got enough room to clear, should just back off and enable that overtake. But again, lorry drivers refuse to do it because it's all time based and time pressured. I have got the offer of a couple of drives out with lorry drivers, and there's one in particular who got in touch not that long ago who delivers cars. Find quite interesting because it's got a little reference to what we do, but I might go and try and organise a day out and just see it from that perspective. Although I can drive a lorry, I'm licensed to drive a class 2. It's a little different, I'm suspecting, when you are on the job, but it would be interesting to see the perspective of the lorry driver when they are put under pressure, and whether they're put under so much pressure they're potentially going to risk losing a job. Notice what I did with the Citroen as well. How many lorry drivers would have done that? I just backed it off so I wasn't going to be next to it, even though I was catching slowly. Is that the exact same sort of situation that I had? Well, no, it's not exactly the same. There's this section of road actually as well on the M62 on my trip to Manchester, but my reaction as a driver and as a road user was totally different than the lorry that came and boxed me in. The lorry just went, sod them. Have I got time and room to overtake? 55 I'm doing on the speedo, so I've got 2 miles an hour. I would look for a really open section and maybe have a little look. 56 now. I don't think I'd do it for a mile. I think I would maybe just knock my limiter down 1 mile and then not be catching. A little bit close though as well, and I'm doing this not purposefully. I'm doing this and being a little closer than really I want to give people an idea of the problems that lorry drivers have. So when lorry drivers do get closer, it's because of this need to overtake all the time. So it's an interesting mindset for me, and it comes from that time pressure of just being, I've got to get there, I've got the tacho, I've only got this time, I'm gonna have to take a break, I want to get home, I want to finish this in one trip, as opposed to me gonna have to do a stop and have a break and then start again tomorrow. Where am I going to fit? Here. Nice little pocket, and look at how everything worked beautifully, because I had that little bit of adjust on that as well. Have lorry drivers got that ability to adjust in the same way I've got? No. They've also got the big length of the lorry. So it's down to you motorists to adjust for that. But again, if lorry drivers just go and block you in and don't accommodate, it just causes problems. So up onto the M6 North, that's where we're heading. Limited 56 on my dash, 55 here, so I'm just going to push it back up that extra mile per hour. I'm taking slip road off left to Preston, and I'm going to leave it here at 57 just so we get an idea of what we need to do to fit in. Planning does help you fit in. So here, an early lean, an early look. Just had to back off for the one in front who'd backed off for the black SUV. I'm already looking at my speed in relation to this blue black lorry with a titanium type front. I don't know what type of lorry it is. They've gone past the other one. and I've slightly adjusted. I haven't just kept my foot in it. I'm at 55. I am going to head us out, although I probably could have stayed there. But now what should I do? Am I catching them in front? No. Going back. See how long that other lorry is going to take to get past. When I first mentioned that blue backed lorry, its cab was right up to the back of the trailer of this one in front. So here, 56 on my speedo, 55 on Waze. This one's got a route past, so what have I done? Backed off. Keep up. All you do. If it hasn't got a route past, the onus is on the lorry driver not to be a complete and utter, not going to say it, and box people in. Don't do it. It's lethal. You'll then have that switch off, and then you'll forget the car's there because you're tired or you're thinking about getting to the port for a particular time, and then that's when these accidents happen. But look how much it's actually saved. That other blue lorry that's in front, you'll see it on this right hand slight bend down in the middle. There it is. 1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4 banana, 5 banana, 6 banana, maybe 6 or 7 seconds for me to get to that gantry. It's all it's got it. Yes, if you do that over a period of an hour or a number of hours, you might get a couple of minutes up the road. But hang on a minute, what's the chances of you travelling for 4 hours and not getting stuck in a queue somewhere? When you get stuck in a queue, that advantage that you've gained 1 minute ahead for the last hour is then totally eradicated. Makes no sense. It's ridiculous. But a lot of lorry drivers are stuck in that mindset. Frightening. It's frightening that there's that many uneducated people about how traffic flow actually works. But I get it. Companies put loads of pressure on these guys and girls who drive these wagons. And if they do dig their heels in and fight back, potentially they're maybe out of work. Or they'll get given the shitty jobs. Does that happen as well? Potentially. So I'm quite happy. I've not knocked my limiter down, but I've just feathered the gas and I've just kept my distance. So I'm just going to knock my limiter down to 56 on the dash, 55 on Waze, and just sit in behind. Now let's have a little look to see whether an overtake's worth it. People will be slowing down for the junction. No, I'm not. I'd rather just back off, let them clear, and then continue. So that lorry driver moving out round that van increased congestion for the rest of the motorway and saved them very little. It's all because that mindset of I've got to constantly keep to 56 or whatever I'm limited to. Personally, I think that's the case. A little bit of laziness, yeah, perhaps. What are the biggest factors? I'll be really, really interested to know. Here's your chance, lorry drivers. Just try not to defend every single action. Let's be realistic with it and give other motorists an idea of the problems that you have. If any of the things that I've said ring true, own them. Never had a problem with me being wrong. Been wrong many times. And if you evidence something rather than just giving a shitty opinion, I'll pass that on to all my viewers and subscribers. Without question, I'm here to learn. I'm like a big sponge, just taking everything in all the time. So yeah, 56 is a tad slow for this lorry, because that lorry has slightly got away. 57, I'm going to put it back up to 57 here, 56 on Waze, and see whether we start catching. And it's these little discrepancies that then cause other lorry drivers to feel as though that they need to overtake. Alright, so this is probably half a mile an hour difference. So it's going to save me 30 seconds an hour, or cost me 30 seconds an hour, if I just knock it down a little bit. That's all. Now, we are catching these two. So again, I've just kept my space, assessing my speed, and seeing what I'm going to do and when. I'm going to go back up to 57. Let's go and get past. But look how long this fella's a pusher to the left as well, pretty obviously. Look how long I spend next to this lorry. I'm at risk now. And I'm watching really far ahead to ensure that I knew what was going on. I didn't have an escape route until the four-wheel drive was passed, and now I'm going to tuck it back. So that for me probably was a safe overtake. How much time is it going to cost me though? Well, I think we're probably doing 1 or 2 miles an hour more than that. So when you find yourself in that situation with a clearer section, sound, do it. Notice we're back up to 57 and we're slightly catching this wagon in front. Uphill. Here's a question. Are modern lorries strong and powerful enough to keep you at a steady 56 all the way up the hill, even fully loaded? This one looks as though it's doing okay, but I am slightly catching. Now, with the history that we've seen with my following distance with this wagon in front, what would I do now? I would just reduce, give them a chance to get back up to their 56, 55 and a half miles an hour, which their limiter is probably at, and then I'd settle. But a lot of people would just keep the limiter on, out and overtake straight away, and then be stuck. A little bit more thought. So I am heading off here as well. I'm going to go back on the M58. It's been pretty good little experiment up to now, because we have had lorries pretty much constantly. Now, it's warning of stranded vehicle. So I've got a junction coming off as well. So what do we do here? What I'm going to do, I'm going to get next to, I'm going to put my limiter down to 50, which it is, and I'm going to keep at the same distance with this wagon. And this is the same scenario as the other lorry driver went there and wanted to come back. Probably I'm further away, well, not probably, I am much further away from the lorry than I was with the red Ford Focus. Okay, so we'll head off onto the M58. Once I head off the motorway, that 50 limit is finished. It looks as though there wasn't a stranded vehicle anymore, or it's gone back to a national anyway. So we will head off onto the M58. Keep an eye on the wagon behind. I probably should have slowed a little more because I'm using my car's ability to was that what they were talking about with the stranded vehicle? I wonder. It may have had a couple of attempts at getting to its destination. I'm just going a little closer just to allow the lorry to try and tuck in a little bit more, saying that it didn't really make much difference there. Lorry didn't have enough room to get all the way in. But yeah, I'm just thinking of that lorry behind. It may very well have tried to keep going from the motorway and then got to there and got stranded again. Don't know. It is what it is. I'm not going to accelerate quickly either. In fact, what I am going to do, I am going to go back up to 57 and just see what I do with 57 on the speedo. Sorry if I keep on going back to that, just so people who maybe jump into the video halfway through, I don't know why you'd do that, but anyway, so people know what's what. Let's have a little look up this hill. This is a little bit different for me because I seem to be catching reasonably quickly. It's the van in lane 2 that's the issue for me though. So I am going to get myself out. I gave the van behind plenty of time to work out what's what. Backed off because the stranded vehicle on the side. This van in front is pretty awful. Why did I back off? So they've got moving room. Now you imagine this scenario. I am going to be the lorry. This is doing 40 miles an hour. Lorry drivers can't go past here. He is getting out of the way again. That's awful driving. Absolutely awful. So a lorry driver would be stuck in that situation, wouldn't they? Because they can't go out and use lane 3. So people, please show better lane discipline. Now, I've overtaken and catching, and let's see what goes on here. Yes, we're okay. Come back in. I was just expecting maybe for the other wagon to then start speeding up again. He's heading off. Maybe he saw that and backed off. That was a good bit of work by those two back there. So I'm exactly at 56. Let's see what goes on with this. I'm 57 on my speedo. Travelling too close. I've still got easy enough room to deal with it. So what should that guy do behind? He's slightly catching and keeping on catching. Has he got enough speed to overtake? No. He should drop back and give himself a little bit more space. This is another thing that lorry drivers, it's just built in them to do because of what we've explained today. It's built in them to tailgate. Now he's dropped off, which is good. Now it's quite interesting, 57 on my speedo, exactly 56, yet before that yellow Scania was catching. How accurate, and this goes out to all the lorry drivers out there, how accurate are these limiters? Now, Simon, the guy who I do the podcast with, he captured a lorry the other month. It was on the Drive and Fail lorry special quite recently, that was doing 70 miles an hour. How are these enforced? Is it something that the spot checks from the DVSA, can they find out really easily when they pull you in? Can they see exactly what your limiters are limited to? How are they managed? If you could answer that in the comments, that would be much appreciated. Now, what I'm going to do, because we've got nothing here, I'm going to get on with it. I'm going to get up to 70. We're going to go and try and find another lorry before we head off. But if we don't, I think that's been a good little exercise, personally. What have we learned? We've learned, hopefully you've learned that there's possibly the wrong mindset from a lot of lorry drivers on how much time it's actually going to save them. Hopefully you've learned that on being stuck at that 56 miles an hour, an overtake then is a difficult proposition, but it's also taught me that a lot of lorry drivers will just move out and just overtake when they probably shouldn't do, when dropping off maybe a mile an hour on the limiter would be a better option. We've also found out that there's no uniformity with the speeds. We had the lorry that we were following on the M6 for quite a period of time, where when I was doing 56 on my speedo, 55 on Waze, I was dropping away, and when I was doing 57 on my speedo, 56 on Waze, I was catching up. What would I do? I'd just split the time. I'd drop away slightly, and then I'd go back on it a little bit again. Then I'd drop away slightly, and then go back on it again. Anything else? Anything else that sticks out? Please let me know in the comments your thoughts. Think about what I was doing. Mine goes back to the blue Citroen on the 62 near services that had just backed off, and it just wasn't going to go next to it. It just left it options to come out when it required. That's the polar opposite of how some lorry drivers operate, and we've got to get to the bottom of why this happens. It's not me being against anyone. I've done this for years with cyclists myself. But unless you start calling out your own groups, this behaviour of poor road use isn't going to change. And it's exactly the same with lorry drivers. Let me know your thoughts. We'll wrap that up there. Bye Focus. You've got the Volvo coming soon, and the next Drive Like a Driving instructor will be in the Volvo. Hopefully see you then. Keep safe, I'll see you soon.